everyone. This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to episode 51. We're here live today recapping and reviewing the latest episode of The Walking Dead, which is episode 7. If you're listening live, leave us a comment on Spreaker. We want to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you're enjoying the episode, please like and share it. Show us your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review. The podcast can be found on the Spreaker app, iTunes, Google Play Music, the Stitcher app, and more. Joining me as PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. Also check out PCS recaps on Lisa's YouTube channel, The Talking Book. If you want to comment on something you hear during today's episode, leave a comment below, or you can also find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. Good evening, Lisa. What's up?
Oh, man, I think I'm going to have to start getting some anti-anxiety medicine before the end of this season is over.
Oh, no, not that.
As I'm sitting there going, oh, my God.
I know. I mean, a few times I'm like out loud as well, like, don't show it. Oh, don't. Oh, gross. Oh, yeah. Everything. All kind of emotions were coming out of me. Disgust, outrage, shock.
Okay, I personally, what I don't understand, he had, was it an AR-15, I believe is the gun that Carl had? I would have, as soon as I heard Negan's voice and I was discovered, I would have jumped out and just mowed every single person down.
Like, why'd you stop? Like, oh.
Exactly. And I realized that Negan was standing kind of half behind a person, but at an AR-15 at that range, it's going to go through that person and into Negan, okay?
Yeah, I would have kept going. And I'm like, well, maybe he didn't want to kill more people than he had to, which was the honorable thing to do, but
this is not an honorable
Negan
situation.
isn't honorable, so who cares?
Yeah, this is not an honorable situation. I would have mowed everyone down. I would have kept firing until I was out of bullets. Yeah. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
As a matter of fact, I probably would have dug through there real quick and found a couple extra clips.
Oh, I believe that. And you know what? I bet Jesus was so mad at him when he didn't jump out. He's probably like, you little...
I know, right? Well, and then, so Jesus jumps out and he has his, his little syrup trail, which, pretty ingenious if you think about it. But then right before Negan left with Carl to go back to Alexandria, first you see Jesus on top of the truck.
Yep.
And you look at and you see Daryl and you see him kind of looking up, so you're like, he sees him. Right. And then at the next angle, he's gone.
Yeah.
So, now I'm wondering where Jesus is and what his plan is, because I think he has a better plan than probably Carl did. Whatever
he probably does. Well, you know what? Not only does Carl seem to have a quote-unquote plan that seemed to fail, but, Rosita had a plan. Michonne had a plan.
Yeah. Did you notice? Now, I'm wondering if you noticed, because she was whistling Farmer in the Dell when she was fighting all those people, and that's what Negan had been whistling.
I didn't notice that was the same song.
Yeah. Negan whistles at every once in a while. Not the whole thing, but just like little snatches of it. So I think that was kind of her thinking on him, because when she killed those walkers and then dropped her katana, like, what is she doing? What is she doing?
That one scene, when she's whistling and she brings them into the street and they're walking behind her, that kind of gave me a flashback to when she was walking with her own pet walkers. I'm like, oh, wait, what's happening? And then she killed them. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought that's actually what she was planning on doing, was snatching up a couple of walkers, the way that she was, she was so nonchalant about it, too.
Yeah, she was.
And, she's, and I, after all this time, I'm sure there is a certain nonchalance to the walkers that everyone is beginning to experience. But at the same time, I mean, she's taking it to new levels.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, at first I'm like, what is she doing? And then the minute I saw them across the street, I said, oh no.
Oh, yeah.
I said, that is what she was doing. Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, I think I think Negan may start to realize how much of a bite he took off with Alexandria, because unlike all the other settlements he's taken over so far, Rick and his group have probably been out among as the walkers the longest. They haven't had walls containing them. They haven't as much as a lot of the other people have. So this is kind of a different dynamic for everybody.
Yeah.
But my big fear right now is, and I think by the way Negan's acting, I'm kind of thinking he's going to take the baby.
Oh man, that was so creepy. I'm like, don't touch that child, you perv.
I know.
Get away. I'm like, he is despicable. He is disgusting. I'm like, please do not infect that child with your awful personality.
But think about it. I mean, there's never been, actually a definition of what he considers half is. And he will snatch people up for his own, he's already taken Daryl.
Right.
So, and I think, and I am getting I think Negan wants to be a father. I think that's part of the reason for all the wives. And he's sending them in to go get, pregnancy tests once a month. He's wanting this.
Yeah, for sure. He's kind of twisted, though. I don't think he just wants to be a father. I think he really sees himself almost like God. He's they're all kneeling to him, and he's issuing speeches and punishments. And of course, why not have a whole harem of women and a bunch of babies?
Right. Well, and I think maybe not even so much God, but like the Caesars of old, like the Julius Caesar type person, who has the hordes of people and the harems and the, so yeah, with power comes privilege,
Well, you know what? I feel like he's hanging on to that, barely, just barely, because, we see that, though the husband and wife team, it looks like they're wavering a little bit. At least the wife is. I feel like they're, who do you think, which one of them do you think slid the note up under the door to tell Daryl to leave? I think it was the wife.
Because of the heels, because you can hear heels. I'm going to say it's her. But I think between her and her husband, Dwight, I think it's Dwight that's actually having the most regrets at this point.
Yeah, he's having regrets, but is he keyed up enough to do something about it? I think she is.
I don't think she is, because when they were standing there in that hallway smoking a cigarette, I mean, one, she gave up the other woman, and that has caused now this chain reaction of getting an iron to the face.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I think for Dwight, that was a moment. I think that was the moment where Dwight went, "What am I doing?" And that was her moment, his wife's moment, to go, regardless of what the fallout is, I'm going to survive. And Dwight's looking at it just as a bigger picture, going, what are we doing here? Because you could see him looking at the guys and being able to put himself in the other guy's place.
Well, isn't that what happened to his face?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to his face, which is why, I think it struck such a chord for him.
Yeah.
And, he's lost his wife, and, he's lost, honestly, any self-respect he may have had as a person. And I think watching Daryl and seeing everything that's happening and watching, and as much as Negan says there are rules, and technically they are, all those rules are pretty much in place for one reason and one reason alone: to keep Negan in power.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
It's not for the benefit of community. He can call them the saviors all he wants, but the fact is they are not bringing civilization. They are not bringing safety. They're not bringing security.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything except for being locusts.
See, I agree with all that, except I just don't think it's Dwight. I feel like, I can't think of his wife's name right now.
I can't
But I
either.
feel like she was being strategic. I feel like she just wasn't caving. She was just choosing her battle. And I don't think she could have won on that one. So she gave the girl up. I mean, that's just kind of what I thought about it. I guess we'll see how it all shakes out. But
yeah, I think of the two of them at this point, she's the more pragmatic. And like you said, she's picking her battles. But I think Dwight's looking at it as, I can't
Right.
anymore.
Well, Dwight better watch it, because guess what? I'm sorry, but he's no Daryl. I don't
No.
know if he would be able to do what Daryl is doing should he choose to make a stand such as that, where he's just, I'm done. We're done with this,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I've heard a lot of chatter with the... Now, I had an interesting thought. I wanted to run this by you. Do you remember Terminus?
Mm-hmm.
I think Negan's group is the one that came in and swooped in on Terminus and caused all the havoc that turned them into the cannibals.
Really?
I think so. I mean, think about it. They never said who it was, and this would have been early on, in the zombie apocalypse,
Right.
when Negan was first beginning to consolidate his power, so he doesn't have the big group that he has right now.
Mm-hmm.
But a vicious man with his cohorts came in and just, sacked Terminus, because they had been taking in survivors, they had been taking in people, they had been trying to do more like the Kingdom had.
Right.
When they came in, and then they also demanded tribute.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
So I'm kind of thinking that Negan may have had something to do with the fall of Terminus.
Possibly. I mean, I could kind of see it, but Terminus is so long gone, I don't see them bringing that up again. No,
but it was one of those little things, because I forgot, somebody said something on the show, and I went, and I just had this flash, this light bulb moment going, oh God, I think they were at Terminus. And of course, and part of it is I've noticed there's these chain reaction events that are ongoing in the show. And, so I think Negan, got into Terminus, and then Terminus, descended into chaos, and then that, then that happened to Rick's group that just, completely screwed them up.
Yeah.
And, so I'm noticing, they're really going into the cause and effect of things. And so while I don't think they'll ever go back to Terminus or anything, I do believe that it's, just another link in the chain of, unfortunate events that's going on.
Oh my gosh. I mean, talk about unfortunate events. You were right that we would find ourselves in that bullet making place again. But boy, did Rosita serve it up to Dwight. Not Dwight. What's the guy who's making the Eugene? Yeah, man, she was like, make yourself useful for once and make this bullet.
Yeah. God, she was cruel. And honestly, I think, if he was going to make bullets, he should have made more than one. I mean, he had all this stuff there. He could have made multiple bullets, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
he could have gotten her, a 6 of them for that matter. There's enough material.
But typical Eugene, he's like a baby. He didn't even want to do it. So she had to, it was like pulling teeth to make him make the one. There's no way he was making more.
Oh, yeah. And now, as I understand it, she is a sharpshooter. She could have actually done something with that gun that Michonne had. So, and it's too bad that she doesn't have a,
Rick.
sniper rifle anymore. Yeah. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. Thanks for giving up the sniper rifle for nothing.
Yeah. And, now here's the thing I don't really understand. I mean, Michonne would have known that she was a sniper. Why not bring that sniper rifle to her and say, put it to good use?
I think at that point she was still hoping that Rick would have something else to say. Like he would somehow not be that beaten down to give up the rifle. And she was surprised by it.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, if I had been her, I would have taken her the sniper rifle and said, dude, you have it. You can make that, half-mile shot. Go for it. And because Michonne doesn't have the skills. I mean, she's excellent with the sword, and she can do a handgun, on short distances. But as a sniper, she, I mean, that is a skill that takes time to hone, and she didn't have that time. She could have taken it to Rosita and gone from there, but she didn't.
I was surprised she wanted to waste the bullets practicing.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. So. And then I'm sitting here and I'm watching Carl, and I'm trying. It's the dynamics between Negan and Carl are interesting.
You know what? Negan really has respect for Carl. You can tell, even though he's
Despite
constantly, talking mess or, as he says, busting balls, as he quote unquote says, you can tell though that he is taken aback by him. And he actually, I think that he thinks he's valuable. And he's,
Well, and the look on his face when when he asked about Carl's mother, were you there? Mm-hmm. I shot her.
And he was like, oh.
No wonder you're a little psychopath, in the making. And Carl kind of is.
He is.
But at the same time, I think, in our society, if we were to take Carl right now and put him into our society, yes, Carl is a little psychopath. Mm-hmm. But for the environment that he is living in, he is actually well adjusted.
Yeah, he is.
For the living conditions he's living under.
Yeah. And Negan even said something about it. He said, I'd expect you to be boo-hooing about not going to the prom or something. So
right. So yeah, it's interesting because Negan kind of has taken almost a fatherly role, and he kind of has that attaboy pride in Carl for some reason. And again, I think it's partly because Carl is, he is this kind of mix of vulnerable and yet strong. And I think Negan is looking at him going, I don't have any kids. Not yet. And I'm wondering if Negan is going to basically keep Carl at his side and try to groom him into his heir, so to speak.
I don't know. If he attempts that, he's going to be sleeping with one eye open forever, because first off, he likes him because he is strong, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that he is that easily, you can't turn him. I think he's as bullheaded as Daryl would be, and I think it would be a great feat to try to make him turn. I don't think it would be something we could do in one season.
Oh, no. But I think but the thing of it is, now keep in mind, Negan is so used to, right now, people bowing to him. He has become so used to his power and everyone being terrified. And he doesn't have to dangle, for most people, that much in front of him.
Right.
Food, women, shelter, and he's giving Carl this kind of mix of affection and punishment back and forth. So I'm pretty sure he thinks that he can, at some point in time, turn Carl. And I know Carl is honestly really mad at his dad.
He is, but not enough to switch teams.
That
man killed his family.
Right. And like I said, and I don't think Carl is going to actually switch teams, but I think Negan is looking at him and going, potential. I, being the man that I am, and have turned this entire, all these people to my will, can obviously take a 16-year-old kid and make him do what I want. Duh. And, so I think Carl in the end is, I'm going to predict that Carl is going to be Negan's undoing in the end.
Maybe.
Because I think he's going to start keeping Carl really close to him. I also think that Negan is actually going to start spending more time in Alexandria, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. I totally see that happening. But which will allow for Daryl to build for something to go on in his own camp, because he's going to be away.
Yeah. Yeah, if Negan actually starts spending more time in Alexandria because, hey, I need a place in the suburbs,
Oh, my God. Speaking of that, this is a little side note. But were you not disgusted when Negan asked the woman if she wanted to hook up and she slapped him, and he goes, I am 50% more attracted to you right now. And I'm like, oh, God, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
I know. Absolutely horrified. Absolutely horrified.
Oh, gross.
And the bad thing is, and this is, the truly bad thing. Sorry, guys, but let's face it. You're dicks for the most part, and in a position of power where if you thought you could do that, would probably become a little more like Negan if you thought you could get away with it, which is sad. But there's that whole might makes right thing, and Negan has it in spades. He's a horrible human being.
I know, and I was thinking thinking later, I'm like, it's a shame that they found someone so good looking to be so nasty. Like, ew, like he's the worst.
I know. And it's terrible because he is really an awesome actor, but he is doing it so good, and you just look and you're going, I hate him.
I know. I have to stop and remember him as Denny from Grey sometimes because he's doing such a good job. I'm like, wait, he was a nice person.
Well, and he also played the father on Superstition, or with Dean and them in the car.
I don't know.
He plays their dad. Yeah, they've got a picture of him up. They got a picture of him up on a bookcase holding a baseball bat of all things.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, you know, most recently, did you ever watch The Good Wife? He was on The Good Wife the last couple seasons.
No, I didn't. I hadn't seen him in that. No.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's proven it.
Yeah, he's a really good actor, and everyone in America hates him right now.
I'd hate to be him walking down the street. I bet people really react to him in a negative way.
They really do. It's terrible. So I don't know. I mean, I have been sitting because there's only one more episode coming up, and I don't know what is going to happen, and it is going to be crazy. You know it's going to be crazy.
Well, I mean, I'm really at a loss right now. We haven't been back to the kingdom yet.
Nope.
So, I don't know how they're not going to get together before this mid-finale. Maybe they'll start making plans. I don't know.
Well, I did notice, like in this episode, I did notice they were hopping around a little bit more. I mean, they were, with the Saviors, and they were back in Alexandria, and then they were out with, the Scavengers, and then, they were so they were kind of hopping all over the place, and kind of they were a little bit with Daryl, a little bit with Michonne, and and that one guy who found the hunter's stashes in Latin. Yeah. There's something up with that, because he made he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to turn this over to the Saviors, and they're like, well, and they were kind of giving him a little.
Wasn't that the old not governor, the woman's son?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's him. And he's always hiding things and pulling things back and making stashes all over the place. He's been doing it since they first showed him on the show.
Oh yeah.
Food and liquor and guns and everything. So I know that whatever he's got a sizable stash there, but I know.
And there's more. There's more. Did you see that list?
Exactly. So I think, I'll bet you there was a stash of guns because apparently this guy was a prepper. And that's, he had been waiting for an apocalypse of some sort. And, so yeah, I think that there's probably a stash of guns somewhere that he is not bringing back. I'll bet you there's a stash of medicine, and I'll bet you there's, he probably only brought back half the food.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He didn't bring it all back. I don't think he's that stupid. No.
So I think what he's kind of hoping is they'll only take quote unquote half. So, so he can have his half of the half that he has brought back. But I am sure he did not bring home that whole thing. He probably brought home less than half of it. I mean, he probably filled up the car enough to look like he really scavenged. But by looking at that list and seeing the look in his eye and the way he said it, I know that somewhere he's got a good, backup going on.
Well, not just that, but they found that boat in the middle of that lake with all those walkers. I bet there are a ton of weapons on there.
Oh, yeah. I was watching that and all I could think of is, damn, it's too bad they didn't have any bubble gum. Because bubble gum is waterproof. If you chew it up and you put it on a hole in the boat, it's waterproof.
Really?
You can actually, yes. You just have to wait until it hardens up. It takes about an hour. You chew it up, you get it soft, you stick it in the hole, wait about an hour for it to harden. You can take it out in the water. It's waterproof.
Wow, go figure.
I know.
You probably shouldn't be eating bubble gum. Probably shouldn't be chewing on that then.
Yeah, bubblicious for the apocalypse. All right, just let you know.
Gosh. Yeah, this was a good episode. I mean, there was a lot going on, and I feel like this episode was, and they do this thing to me. Like, I feel like it's very high energy, high action, lots going on, and then it's kind of slow. And personally, I felt like last week's episode was slow, so I feel like we're back to the good pacing. But being that next week is the mid-season finale, they can't revert back. They need to have another high-octane episode.
It is going to be nuts. We're all going to, again, I might need to get some anti-anxiety medicine from my doctor just for this one episode. I don't think alcohol is going to be quite enough. It's going to be terrible. Yeah. It is going to be terrible. I mean, and you know it. I mean, you can feel it.
So do you think that Carl is going to walk around forever showing his eye socket now?
When Negan is there, yes. When Negan is not there, he's gonna cover it back up. And he should anyway because of infection.
You know what? I was like, when it came off in the little, the paper or the cotton ball kind of popped out and it was red. I was like, oh God, don't show it. Oh, I was scared.
Yeah. I mean, it's partially healed up, but it's still not completely. And until it's completely healed up, he can't. I mean, he really does need to keep it covered from a sanitary point of view.
Yeah.
And let's face it, this is the apocalypse. Nobody wants an infection.
Oh my God. And Negan's like, "Can I touch it?" I'm like, "Oh, you're so rude.
Just so gross."
Oh.
But I am kind of wondering if Negan does decide to take the baby, and I don't know. I am almost sure at this point he is going to.
But that's like declaring war. And he just already has all these reasons why he cannot kill their survivors yet. It's against his rules. And other people will feel like, well, what am I doing this for if you're going to kill us anyway? I feel like if he took her, he is asking for trouble. He's going to have to kill them. They're not going to let him take that child.
Yeah, except I think he might also be looking at it from the point of view of this is Rick's kid, and Rick is broken now. So Rick is going to let me do whatever I want. But I do think that if Negan takes that baby, this will be what'll spark Rick back to his previous savage demeanor.
Wow.
There won't be compromise. There won't be, we're going to work through this because Judith was the reason for him standing down.
Right.
Judith was the reason for him saying we can't. We have to capitulate. We have to do as he says. And he needs something. The show needs something for him to gear back up again. Because right now he is in an absolute nope. We're not doing it.
Maybe it'll be just enough for him to come back and see him with his daughter in his arms and be like, seeing red.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if Negan even says, I really like this baby. I'm just going to keep it for a little while.
Like it's a thing, like a dog.
Yeah.
Let me take it for a while and bring it back.
Yeah. Well, because Negan no longer looks at people as people anymore. They're rungs on a ladder in which to step on to get to your next success. So to speak. He doesn't look at them like people. They're assets or they're barriers, and they're nothing else. They're not people anymore. So Judith to him would be an asset. This is probably because I haven't seen any babies at all anywhere among the survivors.
Right.
I haven't seen a single one. I haven't seen a baby. I haven't seen a child. And from all the other groups that I've seen, an infant like Judith, I haven't seen one. I haven't even seen them at the they're not at Hilltop and not in the Kingdom. I think Judith may be one of the very few infants to have actually survived the apocalypse.
Yeah, I feel like at Oceanside they had some like 5 and 6 year olds.
Yeah, but since they don't have any
doing
men,
the crafts,
new babies. Yeah, but no new babies because no men.
Right.
And now they did have more children when they were at the prison, but let's face it, except for Carl, they all died. Except for Carl and Judith, they all died. Every single one of those children they had, and they started off with like 12.
I don't remember.
Well, now I know for sure that at least 2 of them did. Now there was a group of them. Was there like 6, 8 of them that Carol was teaching class to?
Mm-hmm.
But when they all got split up, they never found those kids again.
Right.
Because and they really about half of the people they had there at the prison they lost, and we don't know if they're alive or dead or been absorbed by another group or what. They're just gone.
Yeah.
And all the other kids, except for the two girls and Judith and Carl, or Judith that were with Carol, then the one girl killed her little sister, and then Carol killed the little girl, and they kept the baby. And that was it.
Yeah.
So it's Carl and Judith. And so yeah.
That's true. I just hope they don't go there. I mean, don't kidnap the child. Like, really? Like, that's just crossing the line. I mean, you're already doing things that are, like, just beyond
horrible
words, but...
Yeah. But, again, Negan doesn't... I mean, he does what he wants to do, and while he says that there's rules, they're his rules, and he can change them. He, like he even said, I said, you said you'd only take half. Yeah, well, I decide how much half is.
Right.
So, I mean, he's changing the rules to, for himself, and while still saying, oh, no, I'm playing fair here. Half is actually 3/4, but that doesn't matter because that's my idea of half.
But you know what?
So he does things like that all the time.
He does, but he's also still watching. Like, it sounds like he knows, like, psychology. He knows how people think. He knows how far he can go, and he's still checking things. Like, for example, like when Carl called him out, he's like, you can't kill us. So you might as well, and he did. I mean, he could have messed Carl up. He could have taken off his hand or his arm or whatever, but he didn't. And I think it's more than just he has, respect for him. I think he can't. He literally can't. And he knows
if he kills...
Right.
If he kills all their scavengers, all the people that actually, have the nerve to go out and do this stuff, and all he leaves are the wishy-washy ones in Alexandria, while they're be compliant, they're going to be useless.
Exactly.
He needs them to be warriors. He needs them to be strong. And so, yeah, he is on that balancing act. And the fact that he was a teacher, he was a physical ed, PE teacher, and, was a coach, all those things. I mean, he has a pretty good grasp of human psychology just because of that. And, so he's putting those skills to work in the new world. But he's something. And as much as he is trying to portray that he knows all the answers, I mean, you can kind of see that he's just as stumbling along trying to figure it out as everyone else, but he won't let anyone see it,
right?
Because he's made mistakes. He's just so flashy and so flamboyant and so violent. He's just kind of buried them. So don't look at that way. Look over here. Look over here. Look over here.
Right. I mean, you can't look weak. You don't want to look weak at all in any way, shape, or form. When you're trying to rule by fear, you're trying to rule with an iron fist. You can't appear weak, even if you may be in some areas. You don't want it to show.
And I think, kind of in a way, what it showed me more than anything, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, but Negan is lonely. He is desperately lonely. Mm-hmm. He is surrounded by people that will kneel and bow and scrape. They'll laugh at his jokes if he makes them. But the fact is, he lives alone. He sleeps alone. I mean, he has his wives, but I mean, if you notice, that entire his house or his little apartment thing was set up for him, and only him.
Right.
And he doesn't have any equals. He doesn't have any peers. He doesn't have someone to talk to. He doesn't have anyone to share with. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of Carl's appeal to him. He is lonely. And he wants someone that doesn't fear him, but instead looks up to him and idolizes him. Like he had his students, some of the students did before when he was a coach, before the apocalypse happened. Mm-hmm. And I think he misses that. And I think that's part of Carl's appeal to him, is he is desperately lonely and he can't admit it. He can't say it, but it's there. You can see it in his actions and in his words.
Well, he took a wrong step somewhere, because I know he's trying to achieve what they have in the kingdom, where everyone just praises King Ezekiel. Mm-hmm. They love him. They trust him. But he's not getting what he wants out of it because of how he's going about it. So he's never going to achieve that.
Yeah. He gets their fear.
Right.
But he doesn't have their honest respect, and he doesn't have their love. And right now he's settling on, okay, if I can't have those things, I'll settle for fear. But again, he he is lonely, and I think, he's a psychotic sociopath. Don't get me wrong, but he's also a very lonely one.
Oh, boo-hoo, Negan. Oh, I don't feel not
again,
any bit of sympathy for you at all.
And I think that might be why he takes Judith, and it might be why he even takes Carl. I think he is trying to take Rick's family. He's looking at it as, I want this. I want a family. I want people that look up to me, to respect me, that love me. And he is still trying to break down every last bit of resistance he thinks Rick might have. And if he takes Carl and he takes Judith, I think he thinks this is it. At this point, he will be a broken man, and I don't ever have to worry about these guys again because Rick will keep them in line because I'll have his kids.
Now, did you see a spoiler for that, or is that just your own hypothesis?
That's just my own hypothesis.
Okay. Because I did not see the trailer for next week. Because, I watch it later. So, yeah. Of course, the, little preview for next week is always left off. So I didn't get a chance to see it.
It's just Rick and, not Mark, but the other guy, getting the boat and getting ready to try and take that shot-up boat across the water. Which is why I said I wish they had bubblegum. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're going to try and make it to the, through the zombie water hazards.
Huh. Well, I suspect it's going to be another 90-minute episode. I think it's got to be. Yeah.
It is. It's a 90-minute episode,
yep.
Hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'm almost convinced at this point that Negan is going to take both Carl and Judith. I think so. Or he's going to at least attempt to.
Well, he knows if he takes Judith that Carl will follow because he's going to protect his sister. So He can take Judith and Carl will willingly go because he's going to protect his sister. Exactly.
So, yeah. So there's that. It's, I can't wait, high anxiety between now and then.
Oh, I know. And then we're off for a long hiatus. I hate how they're gone for so long. I don't think they're even back till late February, I think.
I thought it was the first or second week of February, but I could be wrong.
Well, I know last year I feel like it was around Valentine's Day, so
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Okay. Well, hopefully they stick to that and don't make us wait much longer because I still think that's a long break.
All of the show, and I've noted, and I'm getting a little upset with this. It's not just The Walking Dead, but almost everything we're watching now. They're now, instead of doing a full season, they're doing mid-season. Only half a season at a time, and with these 2 and 3 and sometimes 6 months breaks in between, and I'm not liking it.
Yeah, no, a lot of the stuff we're watching has a very long hiatus, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I could see, all in the fall lineup, if they wanted to do it over Christmas, say for December, and say, okay, we understand it's Christmas, and Christmas shows, and Christmas music, and Christmas blah, 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 blah. So we're just going to give you Christmas. And then we'll come back after the first of the year.
Right. That's what it used to be. Yeah. But then it slowly started morphing into this other thing where it's 6 weeks gone. So
or longer.
Longer.
Yeah, I'm not liking it. It's, I don't know. It's almost like laziness on their part. They used to have 22 episodes. Now they're doing 12, and then they're splitting it up 6 at a time, and they're having this big long space in between. I'm like, come on, guys, seriously?
Yeah.
Get it together, man.
Hey, I guess they're saying they're forcing the face of TV to change. They're forcing the normal to change.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's almost, and it's funny because it's coming in the face of the Netflix and Hulu's and stuff where you can watch it all at once. Mm-hmm. So now you have one side really drawn out and the other side saying, "Bam, here it is. Watch it all at once. Have fun."
Yeah.
So.
Well, fortunately for The Walking Dead, they know that their fans are diehard and they lose no steam. People are waiting. They are waiting for that premiere in February. So.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there's that. So, anyway, but I don't know. Like I said, that's my standing prediction. I could be wrong, but I'm feeling confident about it.
All right.
Well,
I have no predictions. I'm just kind of trying to go with the flow and see what happens because I just feel like every time I think I know what's going on, they change it up and it's not exactly, it's not all. I have yet to make an actual prediction that was 100% 100% true. Not partially, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, you got this, but not that. But, 100%. It's hard to predict with the folks at The Walking Dead, so.
It really is. So, all right, guys, we're just going to have to wait it out and see. And if you guys have any predictions that you want to share or where you think the show is going, please send us a message. Put it on the Spreaker, or do it on Twitter or wherever you want. Just let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, we'll give you full props if you actually are right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so I guess we are done talking about The Walking Dead today. So we'll see you next week, right, guys? Right, Lisa?
Yeah, that's right. See you next week, guys.
All right, so that's it for today's live episode, and we'll talk to you guys next week. But before you go, please hit that follow button on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live, or subscribe and listen later on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and the Spreaker app. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.